He has a remarkable story from the humble beginnings on the south side of Chicago to leading one of the 6 academic medical centers in the University of Texas system. UT Health Northeast President Dr. Kirk Calhoun's peers and employees have lauded him as a transformer, taking the academic medical center from obscurity to eminence. His days are long and include leading meetings, evaluating a construction project, or contemplating details about a new clinic.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I like the colors in the academic center. I am so happy and excited and blessed to lead an academic medical center because it is part of our mission to figure out how do we do those things better, how do we manage those diseases much better, much more successful, and much more economically at a lower cost, so that our society can afford to have good health care going into the future, afford to have good health care as we all get older. And figuring out how to do things better is what an academic medical center is about. So we had parents who were interested in us. We weren't wealthy. I remember things like, the electricity getting cut off and so forth because we couldn't pay the bills. I remember an empty refrigerator. My mom trying to struggle to find enough to get some money so we could have tuna fish sandwiches for dinner. Knew a lot of gang members, but never actually became one myself. They sort of, I guess, looked out for me. A lot of them are dead. A lot of them spent time in jail. I have a lot of friends who have, gone to the penitentiary. I don't deny it. Friends and relatives who were on the wrong side of the law. Well, but by the grace of God, that wasn't me. Saw a whole variety of primary care doctors at that time who just could not make the diagnosis for whatever reason, and was treated with antibiotics, probably inappropriately, and a number of other things, and could not get better. And I think my mom in particular was just so frustrated that I was not healthier. My asthma became quite severe, and in essence, in 8th grade, I became bedridden. I could hardly walk. There's this doctor that takes care of kids who have, a cough and so forth, and he's really good. And his name is Charles Jenkins. He had the most bizarre hours. He saw most patients at night. I think he came into his office about 4 in the afternoon. He worked till about midnight. I noticed right away, how much his patients loved him. Heck, they were there 8 o'clock at night to see the doctor, and the office was full. And he saw me. He very rapidly made the diagnosis that I had asthma. He said it's very common. I remember wheezing and telling him that it's always worse at night, and he says everything's worse at night. Your wife yells at you more at night. It is just horrible. And he did the right test. He put me on correct therapy, and I got a lot better. I became back to what I was before, a normal kid who could run and play and enjoy themselves. And he really inspired me in terms of wanting to think about a career in medicine. He was the only African American allergist in the city of Chicago at that time. And he had this wonderful practice that was so successful. It really demonstrates the power of a mentor. Not that he spent an awful lot of time with me. I was just another one of his patients, and of course he was interested in the fact that I wanted to pursue a career in medicine. But he was much more a mentor to me by watching what he did and how he did it than necessarily any inspirational words he said to me. And it helped me realize how important visual images of success, whether it's in medicine or business or even athletics, but visual images of success, how much they impact young people.
Dr. Calhoun, as far as the president, I came from University of Alabama, Birmingham, very large institution. You never meet the president. You never get a chance to talk to him. The president absolutely has no idea who you are. Okay, that's not the case with Dr. Calhoun. He knows who you are. He's very interested. He's very concerned. Also, just coming from the perspective of being black, I mean, in all honesty, at UAB, as big as UAB was, they probably had one black faculty member on that entire campus. They've made some strides to correct that. So it becomes very hard when you want to be an investigator and you want to do this, and then you don't really that chance for mentorship, that chance to actually talk to someone who sort of looks like you, maybe has had some of the same experiences. They don't exist. And so one of the things when I came here, when I first got here, one of the people I met was actually Dr. Calhoun, and that was one of the things that made me feel very good about coming here. And the fact that he's just very hands-on for a president. I mean, he really wants to know what's going on in the biomedical research department. He cares. And as good as UAB is, that was just not the case. I mean, honestly, it was so large. It was just too many things. And so maybe they wanted to know and they just couldn't. I don't know what the case was, but Dr. Calhoun wants to know. And so we actually, I see him in the cafeteria. Every once in a while we get a chance to talk, and we sort of touch base and everything. And I just really enjoy the opportunity just to be able to talk to him.
We're in a transition right now to a new generation of medical care and biomedical research leaders are coming along. Tori's going to be one of those leaders. There are going to be others. But, if you start thinking about the future 5-10 years from now, it's going to be a lot of turnover in healthcare. We almost began that discussion talking about how things were going to change, and I mentioned the fact so many women in medical school now that's going to change it. The emphasis on cultural competency and cultural diversity, I think that's going to change medicine. I think that the lifestyle of the millennials and
Yes.
and so forth, and what they want to achieve is going to change things. And it's a much more competitive world too. Both my parents worked very hard. My dad had 2 jobs. My mom worked for the bulk of her career. She worked for traffic court in Chicago. It was a political patronage job. She was a Democratic precinct captain. It was the way things worked back then. She wanted us to be successful. She wanted us to go to college and so on and so forth. So they saved their money so that we could go to private school with the right set of circumstances. And there's a lot that goes into that, but with the right set of circumstances, there are opportunities in this country for individuals to achieve their goals. But it does take a real combination of things, including having people, besides your parents, having people in your life who take an interest in you and help you along the way. Nobody makes it by themselves. Nobody. I don't believe in you just personally pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That there are people that come into your life who help you be successful.